Hey everyone, Rarity Dash here, time for another blind reaction. And today, for the first time in a long time, I will be looking at a new death battle just days after it was released, and without it having to be a Patreon request. And I'm doing it because I'm just really hyped for this particular matchup. This one has me excited. This is such a good matchup, and it's from series that I really care about, that I'm really invested in and really love. And, yeah, if you would have asked me like a month or whatever before this was announced what matchup I really wanted to see in Death Battle, I would have told you Mitsuru Kirijo versus Weiss Schnee. And that's what we got today, and I am really excited. I love both these characters. I mean, you see all the Ruby content on my channel, so it might actually surprise you that I love Mitsuru more of these two. She is waifu number 2, really. I mean, 3 probably if you had Rarity, but in terms of anime waifus, she's probably only beneath the girl on the poster there, Saber, and kind of above her in hotness, to be entirely honest. But yeah, I really love Mitsuru. I really love Persona 3. I mean, I love Persona 5 and Persona 4 more than 3, but Mitsuru is my favorite character in the series, bar none. She is top Persona character as far as I'm concerned, and I just really love her. And I love Weiss too. I mean, she's an excellent character. I'm more of a Yang person, to be fair, as I'm sure most of us know, but Weiss is a great character, and I mean, so much good development there. And yeah, her and Mitsuru, it's such a perfect match. I mean, they're both like rich heiresses with like this hefty burden on them, though for different reasons. And they both use ice attacks and rapiers, and it's just they're both like elegant, and they're just all about the same sort of stuff, and it's just such a natural matchup. And yeah, Mitsuru has her persona, and Weiss has her summons, and just it's a lot. It's very easy to compare them, but in terms of who's gonna win, that's the interesting thing. And I've actually thought about this a lot more than I usually do, because for most of these death battles I don't really take it that seriously. I mean, a lot of them I'm not really very well informed on both characters anyway. Here I am, though, and I really kind of parse this out in my head as to who I think is going to win. And I mean, the natural inclination for me is to say probably Weiss will win, for many of the reasons that Yang won over Tifa. I just feel like aura is such a big deal, such an advantage that the Ruby characters have, and yeah, just they're able to do such impressive physical feats that yeah, I don't know if you can really compare Mitsuru, who is really more normal human, though with her persona. I mean, it's odd. I mean, she can just stab a demon and it will die in the game, so maybe she's not. It's hard to really parse that out with like RPG logic. But considering that Yang beat Tifa, my natural inclination was to say that Weiss would beat Mitsuru. I mean, she's obviously faster and more agile, and she can do her time dilation to make it even more so. Bigger difference. And I mean, but there are some areas where, all that said, I think Mitsuru might have an advantage. Like in terms of persona versus summons, I think the persona can act a lot more instantaneously. There is kind of a long cast time for Weiss's summons, and that's not really a thing with Mitsuru. I mean, she can make it take time if she wants to like mind charge, but just in terms of casting an ice spell, she just does it on a flash, and just summoning her persona, it just happens. I mean, she has to shoot herself in the head, but that's pretty quick. Yeah, so that's an advantage. And I mean, even if Weiss does summon something, I think her summons are a little less durable. They can be dispersed. We've seen that several times in the show. So, in terms of yeah, stand for or not. The JoJo is really getting to me, I guess. Persona, I mean, it's basically the same thing, to be fair. The persona versus the summons, it's yeah, I think Mitsuru has an advantage there. And I was looking at her moveset in terms of just kind of thinking this through. I think she might have an advantage in another way in terms of her abilities, because she has healing abilities, which is something Weiss lacks. She can cast a healing spell, full healing, Dia Rahan, or however you say it, and just heal herself full with a single spell if she's so inclined. And Weiss doesn't really have a way to do that. So that might be an interesting advantage she could have. And, I mean, she can't do that infinitely because it takes SP, but she also does have Spirit Drain, which she can use to specifically drain SP from Weiss. And I don't know if SP, if there's some sort of translation between that and Aura. If there is, that's even worse for Weiss. I mean, if she gets her Aura drained, that could be really bad. So, considering that, Mitsuru does have an advantage there, and her attacks might be quicker, her ice attacks in particular, and they might be even more effective, I mean, comparing. That's also the thing. I mean, Weiss is not immune to ice. She's not really... but Artemisia does offer complete ice resistance, I think. Yeah, it blocks ice. So Weiss will have to... I mean, Weiss does have other dust that she uses, so she doesn't have to just rely on ice attacks, and Mitsuru probably does. I don't think she learns any other offensive spells in the game. Yeah, Weiss is clearly affected by the cold. I mean, we see that in Season 6 when she gets all cold at the farm. So, yeah, I think Mitsuru has pretty good damage potential there. She can quickly cast the spells, and she can heal herself. She can drain off SP. She also has status effect abilities. I'm not really sure that's going to get Weiss, but she could charm or panic her. And yeah, just there's a lot of versatility there and stuff to consider. And I just feel like after thinking it through, Mitsuru might be able to do this, even though my natural inclination was to go for Weiss. I don't know. I think Mitsuru has a chance. I don't know if they'll let it happen. I mean, this is a Rooster Teeth show, so they may want to make their girl Weiss look good, but we'll see. I'm really interested to see this fight. I mean, I don't want to see either of them die. I really am dreading that part, because that's going to suck no matter which way it goes. I mean, I don't want to see my waifu die, and I don't want to see Weiss die either, because she's just so... I mean, she's Weiss. She's got to protect Weiss. But yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see the fight. I'm really eager to see how they animate it. I mean, I guess you could just, if you were being really lazy, you could just have them fight each other in Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle. But I kind of doubt that's going to be what we do here. Though it is kind of cool that we have two characters in a death battle who can actually fight each other in a fighting game that's out there. Yeah. But yeah, great. I'm just really, I mean, let's just start it. I'm talking nonsense now. Let's go ahead and get this started. Here we go. Just really happy this is a thing. This is cool. Is this new? Yeah, that's definitely a new intro. See it at RTX. I guess that's just a RTX ad. There we go, Rooster Teeth. Death battle.
They're as cold as ice. They're willing to sacrifice.
Today we're pitting together two queens of ice born into powerful,
Yep.
if troubled families.
Weiss Schnee, heiress to
Gotta love the Ice
Dust
Queens.
Company and member of the Huntress Team Ruby.
Mm-hmm.
And Mitsuru Kirijo,
Look at her.
heiress to the Kirijo group and member of the
Beautiful.
persona-wielding Seas.
He's Wiz and I'm Boomstick.
And it's our job to analyze their weapons, armor, and skills to find out who would win a death battle. The world of Remnant is known
Starting
for
with
many
Weiss.
things. The vicious creatures called Grimm, the hunters and huntresses committed to fighting them, and the Schnee family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're kind of like royalty, and their princess is Weiss Schnee. As the heiress to the family company, she grew up in a pretty cold home. Pun intended.
The
Yeah.
Schnee family expected a lot from Weiss. It was considered essential that she live up to their highly influential name.
Too bad for them, she had her own plans.
Rejecting her father's wishes to remain at home, Weiss left to attend Beacon Academy and train to become a huntress. Literally putting the W in Team Ruby. Within just a year, Weiss established her own name for herself, saving the kingdom on more than one occasion, and doing so with her trusty blade, Myrtamaster.
Got all the manga.
And that's McHugh. Merc Nasty here is a multi-action rapier with a 3-foot-long blade. But guess what? It's also a gun!
Well, kind
a
of.
plain old crossguard, it's got a 6-slot revolver-style chamber that Weiss fills with bullets colored like the rainbow.
Well, they're not exactly bullets.
Yeah.
They are vials of dust, which she can fire to enhance her weapon and skills. Ironically, the Schnee Dust Company is by far one of the largest producers and exporters of dust.
Wait. They sell dust? I got a ton of that shit covering the bookshelf in my trailer.
Wow.
I can sell it and finally have enough money to buy a second bookshelf. Just farm, here I come.
Not quite the same
No,
dust.
Not that kind of dust. In the world of Remnant, dust is an energy source, often used to fuel vehicles, androids, and weapons. Wait, you have books?
Oh,
Did I say
that
anything
is
about books?
kind of
Long story
surprising.
short, there are 4 main types of
That's
dust.
another thing. Weiss could
Air,
run out of
lightning,
dust
fire,
if this
and water.
turns into a long
And
fight.
Weiss likes to mix water and air together for her favorite, ice dust.
And again, Mitsuru
And that
has
is why
SP
they call you
drain.
the Ice Queen.
She can also attack with fire, launch a windstorm, block attacks with barriers, and many, many other techniques. Needless to say,
She is pretty
Blaster is a
versatile.
surprisingly versatile weapon.
She also
Exactly.
uses dust to boost her semblance, which is basically her X-Men superpower. Weiss gets hers from her family line and can do a bunch of stuff with it.
Yeah.
Make glyphs on surfaces or in the air, each with a
Yeah, she
different
just
color
has a
denoting its
huge
ability.
agility
Black
bonus,
glyphs
or
hold things in place,
advantage.
while white ones propel things forward. Also, by infusing glyphs with dust, she can manipulate their effects. For example, a touch of lightning dust lets her dilate time,
Is that how it
dramatically
works?
increasing her speed.
Or even better, she can use the glyphs to summon
I've always been a bit
monsters
unclear on that
together in
ability,
battle,
but that's
Beastmaster style,
cool.
Like this crazy boar, a giant killer wasp, and the Armagigas.
Which literally translates to giant armor in Latin, so
Yeah.
fitting.
Damn! How great her family could be if they all didn't hate each other. Unlimited dust, giant bodyguards you could summon anytime, and they'd never be stuck with warm beer.
Unfortunately, the Schnee family does suffer from some rocky relationships, with the exception of Weiss and her older sister, Winter.
Wait, go back. Is her dad Colonel Sanders?
Yes, there's a certain
Kind of.
semblance.
I see it. I see it.
C.A.F. Schnee?
Oh.
No wonder they're so rich.
Where did you get that chicken?
What? You don't carry pocket chicken?
So, back on
I-
topic, Weiss has a very powerful and versatile ability, and like most semblances, it's powered by her aura.
Which is like an invisible shield around her body. She's basically unkillable while it's up.
Though
Yeah.
the aura itself isn't indestructible, it can be depleted after taking a lot of damage and needs time to restore itself. Without it, she cannot use her semblance, and she's much more vulnerable.
But that aura is pretty friggin' tough. It was just enough to take a full-on hit from a geyser of lava.
Lava can reach temperatures up to 1200 degrees Celsius, enough to melt iron. And during a food fight of all things, she was thrown into a pillar so hard it was obliterated.
Yeah.
Hey, Wiz, I've been in a few food fights in my time, and that shit gets intense. And that one's tame by comparison.
But greatest of all, with a combination
Yeah, Ruby
of ice
characters
and
are just
aura,
so
she
durable.
survived riding atop a speeding
I
train
don't know.
crashing through concrete. By measuring the
I wanted to tell
diameter of the
myself
resulting
Mitsuru can
hole
do
and
it,
applying
but-
the values of fragmentation, this means Weiss survived an impact
just
equal
not sure.
to over 7 tons of TNT.
Wow.
But it's not just Weiss that's tough. Her glyphs are strong enough to catapult the Armagigas. And with her ice powers, she's knocked around a giant mech built for fighting Godzilla-sized Grim.
Yeah.
Compared to the height of her teammate nearby, it appears she created over 2,000 metric tons of ice.
Wow.
Obviously, that much ice doesn't fit into 2 vials of dust. She's likely using the ocean as a base to exert fusion energy and vaporization energy on the nitrogen in the air, thereby freezing it like so. At most, this would require
Okay.
over 900 billion joules of energy,
Wow.
equivalent to detonating around 230 tons of TNT.
Wow, no wonder she could push that big old robot around. Plus, Weiss can also move super quick, dodging missiles and even hitting bullets out of the air.
And with time dilation, she can stay nearly untouchable while taking out her opponents in the blink of an eye.
Like that old saying, float like
Yeah.
an inner tube on a lazy
This guy
river,
still caught her, though.
sting like your pee in the morning.
Please go to a doctor. Throughout
Wow.
her journey, Weiss has overcome all sorts of dangers, but her most difficult task may have been the moment her father cut her out of the family, leaving her financially broke and dismissed from her birthright.
Ah, boo-hoo, no more allowance. Still, she's powered through and made a name for herself as a huntress. With the Ruby team at her back, I think she's found the family she truly belongs to.
Aw. Yeah. She totally has.
I'm more than a name.
That was from Crusting.
In
though,
the
right?
early 2000s, you'd be hard-pressed to find someone in Japan who didn't know of the Kirijo Group, a global conglomerate involved in
There we
nearly
go.
every aspect of daily life. And the heiress to this impressive company was a young girl named Mitsuru Kirijo.
But unknown to her, the family company was into some pretty sketchy stuff. Her grandpa
Yeah.
started experimenting with some sort of mental world called the Mind Place.
Or more officially, the collective unconscious, a realm connected to every living being's subconscious mind. And within the collective unconscious dwells shadows, fragments of human psyche which often appear as malevolent monsters.
They're basically demons.
Kind
Yeah.
of. However, there's another
And some of
side
them are literally
directly
demons.
integrated with the minds of individual people, effectively becoming their shadow selves.
So some of them are demons who want to kill you, and some of them are demons who are part of your brain?
Close enough.
Well, Gramps tried to
That
get
works.
the shadows for himself, but as anyone who's tried to summon demons will tell you, don't do that. Trust me, it never works
Oh.
out. And when it does, it doesn't.
Chaos Incarnate erupted. The resulting explosion from his experiment released the shadows into reality to prey on an unsuspecting populace, and unveiled the Tartarus, a citadel between worlds. The Earth was drastically changed with
The moon!
a new dark hour, an extra hour of time occurring at midnight.
Most folks didn't notice, though. The world basically freezes in time during the dark hour, including people. So nobody's got to pick up a new 25-hour clock, because when the hour runs up, everything continues like nothing happened. It's like getting an extra hour of secret sleep.
But some people are able to operate during this hour, including Mitsuru, which she decided to take full advantage of.
Yeah, she felt pretty guilty about her family basically ruining everything and sending hundreds of murder monsters into the world. So she swore to fix her grandpappy's mess.
And while she's certainly skilled with a rapier thanks to her time in fencing club, a single sword would never be enough to combat the hordes of shadows. Luckily, her first experience with the Dark Hour helped her out in this regard.
That's one way to put it. She and her
Aw.
dad were almost murdered by spooky
Cute little
shadows.
Mitsuru.
But this event also led to an awakening. With the threat of death itself mere seconds away, Mitsuru dug deep within and found a new weapon, her shadow self.
And that's how she became a person user.
Persona.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Thanks
Person
to this
user.
fateful night, Mitsuru can summon a manifestation of her personality known as a persona. This was Penthesilea, who would eventually evolve into her ultimate form, Artemisia.
Artie is the best non-imaginary friend you could ask for. She's got all sorts of powerful ice spells. She can heal Mitsuru's wounds. She can drain someone's energy and add it to Mitsuru's own.
All
And
important
she can
things?
blow people up with mega deal.
Oh.
It's a big.
Does she
powerful
learn
move
that?
That ignores special defenses. Anyway.
Well, in
and to top
the
it all
answer,
off,
I guess.
She's got a kinky ice whip.
While Artemisia cannot really be
So I guess she
killed,
does have
she
one
does have
non-ice
her
spell.
limits. When a persona is overtaxed or takes too much damage, it becomes broken and unusable for a short time.
And since Artemisia is technically part of Mitsuru's mind, when the persona gets hurt, so does she.
But this connection also grants Mitsuru her own set of special powers. She's physically superior to most others. She can also sense the locations of people and
her.
layouts of buildings through analytical clairvoyance. She's also immune to ice and the cold, so I'm not really sure why she needs that giant fur coat.
It just looks good. It looks good.
Come on.
You just look at that on her.
It is a pretty nice coat. Anyway,
Beautiful.
Mitsuru wasn't going into battle alone. She gathered a team of Persona users to form the Specialized Extracurricular Execution Squad, or SEAS, which is much easier to say. The team set out to explore Tartarus, combat the shadows, and put an end to the Dark Hour, while also scoring some extra credit because it was technically an after-school club.
Japanese schools are way more hardcore than ours.
And with a team at her back, Mitsuru needed a tool to reliably summon personas with. And so came the Evoker, which might be a little disturbing to some people.
Yeah, it's
Fair warning.
kind of
It
weird.
looks just like a gun, and that's kind of the point. The idea is to use the gun to create an extremely traumatic experience similar to how Mitsuru first evoked her own persona.
Specifically, this is accomplished by aiming the thing at your face and pulling the trigger.
Yeah, that's definitely not how guns are supposed to work.
Concepts aside, Mitsuru and her persona are an absolute terror on the battlefield.
Oh, God! Did she just cut off that thing's dick?
Yes, she did, Boomstick, and it was a goddamn cannon.
Oh, the horror, but also cannon dick.
Mitsuru is quick enough to dodge gunfire. Heck, another Persona user is even fast enough to outrun a bullet fired by a Magnum.
Those usually have a muzzle velocity of over 360 meters per second.
And Personas can move even faster. Naoto's could react to and catch an arrow in milliseconds, and Mitsuru has defeated her in battle.
But hey, how about that time Mitsuru and her whole team survived an explosion that totally wrecked this whole bridge? Now, in my humble opinion, using my very own
the Michael Bay
measurement chart, I'd say this blast falls somewhere in the range of, oh shit, we're dead.
Interesting, but let's use some real science now.
This is real science. I tested
looks scientific to me.
Real effects on real people, just like you would. I'm a real scientist now.
But that's... Wait,
I like
real
the glasses.
People? Boomstick?
Oh.
Where are the interns?
Hey, look, I got you that coat that you wanted.
Ooh, thank you. Oh, it's so soft.
So are the interns.
Wow.
But hey, Wiz, there's one more math thing you gotta do. By working with another Persona user, Yukari, Mitsuru helped freeze up this giant, creepy puppet monster.
Well, again, taking nitrogen into account as it comprises 70% of air's makeup, we can apply its required fusion energy and vaporization energy. To find this feat would need an energy output equal to 60 kilotons of TS.
Okay.
Though this can't all
I think I'm underestimating Mitsuru.
That's still a hell of a lot of ice. Mitsuru and Artemisia sure make a powerful pair.
And even after successfully ending the Dark Hour and redeeming her family name, Mitsuru continued battling for people everywhere, one shadow at a time.
And she got hotter.
This appears to be just the beginning.
All right, the combatants are set, and we've run the data through all possibilities.
But first, I'm all out of pocket chicken, so let's get something better with Blue Apron.
Of course.
By now, you've probably heard of Blue Apron, the leading meal kit delivery service in the U.S.
Choose your meals each week, get the ingredients delivered to your doorstep, and whip up a meal using the easy-to-follow directions provided.
With an ever-changing mix of meat, fish, and vegetarian recipes to choose from, you're all set for a tasty summer.
Who has time to think up meal plans and go get the ingredients yourself anyways? Not me. This way I cut out all the boring stuff and get right to the awesome parts.
It's been a huge help to both my schedule and my eating habits. There's plenty of wholesome and healthy choices to pick from. And if you're not very experienced in the kitchen, this is a great way to learn some new recipes.
My favorite part is feeling like a master chef, making creative and delicious meals with my own hands. You guys really need to try it out.
It's pretty nice coming home knowing I'll have a delicious meal I can whip up with ease. To start making delicious, brag-worthy meals at home without the hassle, try Blue Apron.
Check out this week's menu and get $60 off at blueapron.com/battle. That's blueapron.com/battle.
Blue Apron, a better way to cook.
But right now, it's time for a death battle!
Here we go. Excited. Oh. And I guess it's already started. Look at this swordplay.
Such good form. You fight with a sense of ease.
Thank you, but flattery will get you nowhere.
Well, this is already awesome.
Fighting me with ice. Ironic. And a waste of time. Artemisia!
Yeah. She's immune. Oh. Yeah. Gotta use some other dust here. Specifically try fire dust, Weiss.
Can't touch me, Ice Queen. So that's what it's like.
Oh. Come on, Mitsuru. Bring out that healing. Nice. Oh. Well. Here we go. Bringing out the big one. Oh, that was cool. Oh.
As annoying as this was, I have to admit, you fought valiantly. But now, you'll fall by my own hand!
I can do this on my own.
Artemisia! No mercy!
Yeah, and now... Oh. Healing?
How strong are you?
Strong enough.
Oh. There we go. Yeah. Yeah. Well, they gave Weiss a pretty bloodless death there.
Well, Wiz, I'm glad we got these.
I can appreciate that. I don't want to see her get all messed up.
Weiss was incredibly skilled. Her versatility certainly proved a challenge for Mitsuru, and she held a decent advantage in speed thanks to time dilation. Though to be fair, Mitsuru's analytical clairvoyance meant it would have been pretty difficult for Weiss to get the jump on her. Plus, Naota's persona had to move around Mach 7 to catch that arrow in such a short amount of time, so Artemisia must be capable of similar speeds.
Yeah, but slowing down time seems like an instant win move, doesn't it?
In some ways, yes, but we look for who can win the most matches overall, not just a couple times out of 1,000 possibilities thanks to one good move.
Yeah, even though Weiss had plenty of attack options, Mitsuru's defenses were just too strong. Like how she completely canceled Weiss's ice attack.
Yeah.
This presented a unique problem for Weiss, who has always been fairly reliant on ice techniques. She was forced to use dust, which she has less experience with.
Plus, Weiss and her summons have never dealt damage anywhere close to that "oh shit, we're dead" explosion Mitsuru survived. By taking the diameter of the blast here and comparing it to real-life nukes, then considering how far Mitsuru was from the center of it, she took a hit worth over 21 tons of TNT.
Wow.
Definitely higher than Weiss's 7-ton train feat.
Frankly, Mitsuru's survivability and power output outclassed Weiss. Even if we
Kinda
cut her
surprises
major ice
me.
feat in half since she was aided by Yukari, Mitsuru still output 130 times more energy than Weiss when she attacked that mech.
But numbers aren't everything, right?
Sure, there's always a new way to look at things. For instance, Weiss's arsenal was limited by her aura and dust supply, while Mitsuru had no such constraint on her own powers.
It takes a long time to restore aura, and remember, when a persona gets broken, it can just come back a few seconds later.
Which was extremely useful, as Artemisia could heal Mitsuru at any time,
Yeah.
undoing whatever progress Weiss had made.
Oh man, what an ice-cold move!
While Weiss's speed and versatility
Oh, now they
were
both have
right,
coats.
Mitsuru's greater defense, raw power, and more reliable arsenal proved too much for the Huntress.
She had no chance.
The
Wow.
winner is Mitsuru Kirijo.
Go, waifu.
Hey, thanks for watching Death Battle. Don't go away just yet. We're about to announce the next fight.
And if you haven't seen the latest episode of our podcast, the Death
Can
Battle
only
Cast,
be a
click
disappointment
it
after
right
this
there.
Oh yeah, someone told me this. Yeah. I mean, it's okay matchup, but this was what it's all about for me, and yeah, I guess I was right with my whole thinking Mitsuru could do it. I mean, first inclination was probably Weiss had the advantage, but I mean, further thought, I did that just, and I mean, I obviously hadn't looked into like that blast or anything like that. I was just judging it on the healing thing and the fact that the persona is like, I mean, so much more durable, as they were saying. I mean, it's not really something you can just get rid of. So, I mean, at least without taking out Mitsuru herself. So, yeah, I just, because of that, there definitely seemed to be a way for Mitsuru to win, and that's what we got. And we didn't even have to get into the Spirit Drain, which is another thing. I mean, if it was like an endurance match, which I don't know if it would be, they're both pretty quick, so I don't know if it would become like a like that kind of thing. But if it did, then Mitsuru would be able to siphon off energy from Weiss and use that to replenish herself, and Weiss's stock, both in terms of aura and dust, was much more limited. So, yeah. I think I was really, really underestimating, like, the physical capabilities of Persona users. But even with that considered, I mean, it makes sense. Just, I saw the way. I think it was less close than I imagined, just when they dissected it. But, I'm happy for Mitsuru. I mean, Weiss, I love her too, but yeah, gotta go with my girl, with Mitsuru, my best Persona girl. Yeah, but yeah, that was fun. That was really fun. I really enjoyed this one. Probably my favorite death battle so far. I mean, it had the advantage with the matchup, but it was also just a really cool fight, just really well put together and exciting, and I mean, they did a good job of explaining the characters too, and I since I love them so much, I really appreciate that. So yeah, this was great. Really enjoyed it. Hope you liked the reaction. Let me know if you did, and see you in the next one.